Hey, sports fans, it's Mo Carter. Every high school football team in the Tennessee Valley has a goal of hoisting up a blue map at this year's Super 7 in Birmingham. And in order to get there, you have to do work in the off-season. This summer, the Fox 54 sports team chatted with a number of squads about their upcoming season. And you can check out some of your favorite teams right now on another edition of the First Down Friday Night Preview Series.
Well, I'm Cody Gross, going to my 10th season at Athens High School. To my left here is Pratt Johnsey, senior offensive lineman. And from this way, going to the right will be Jackson Unger, senior, plays everything, almost literally. He'll play defensive back, wide receiver, quarterback, returner, may drive the bus for us. Xavier Edwards, senior running back. And then we've got Benny Seibert, senior outside linebacker. All right, we got questions?
Coach, being in the 6A in that area with Muscle Shoals, Hartsville, all the good schools in that area, so what is the area like for y'all as y'all see some top dogs week in and week out in area play?
Yeah, we've kind of always described it as SEC West is what we've said that for years and years. Back when I was an assistant at Athens from 03 to 06, it was that way. It was 5A, and it was that way, and so much so that in 06, when we won the state title, we were the 3 seed. J.O. Johnson was the 4 seed, and we met in the semis because we'd beat the 1 and 2 seeds. Russellville and Hartsville were the first 2 seeds. So we're used to being in a tough region. Unfortunately, the last couple of years, we finished 3rd in the region. We've gone 8-3 2 years in a row. 2 losses to Muscle Shoals and Hartsville, and then we're getting bounced in the first round of the playoffs. And we got to do something to change that. But you add in Coleman, who's always tough. Decatur, they were young last year, going to be better. Jasper improved as the year went on, and David Reeves going into his 3rd season there. They're going to be extremely difficult. So week in and week out, you got to be ready to play.
You had your son at quarterback for a long time, one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the state last year. Now, what's the plan to replace that production this year? How do you think the offense will look?
Well, Grady Sullivan is our quarterback. Grady started for us at receiver last year, and a really tough kid, throws the ball well, moves well. Been really, really pleased with the spring that he had. He's had a tremendous summer. And then we got a couple others. Mentioned Jackson Unger. He'll take some snaps for us at quarterback and can do a lot of things there. And then we got a 10th grader, Zayden Holman, who I think is going to be a good player. So feel good about that situation. We lost a lot of offensive linemen. We got to replace really 3 offensive linemen, and that's going to be big. So really the biggest questions are quarterback and offensive line. That's a little scary because those are the spots that you got to be good at. Feel really good about, basically I think we've got 2 starting running backs back with Xavier and DeMarcus Malone. I think we have good receivers, and then defensively, really like what we're doing defensively. I think we've got a lot of speed. We're a little bit undersized, but got I think some really good players on the defense side of the ball.
For the guys, I've got one. How would y'all like to be remembered, guys, when you take off that jersey for the final time?
I think we want to be remembered as a team that was pretty tough, that wouldn't quit in hard places.
Yeah, same thing what he said. We were just thinking of the team being really tough, and we known as being a family and just working hard as a team.
I'd say the same thing. Probably just a bunch of hardworking guys who love the sport of football.
I'd agree with that too.
Jackson, it almost sounds like you're the Taysom Hill of this team, with all the positions they're going to line you up at. How would you describe the way you play the game, the role you're going to play on this team this year?
The way I play the game, I would say fast. I play the game fast, and my role would just be play wherever I can, I guess.
He don't like to talk about himself. He's also a state champion wrestler.
Coach, finishing 8-3, like you said, these past 2 years, finishing 3rd in area play. I'm looking at y'all's schedule, and I see Muscle Shoals at home, sure one of your team goals this year, not only is to make playoffs, but possibly even win area.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, it's big. I mean, that's a critical stretch. That's games 6 and 7. But we start with Coleman. That's the first region game is Coleman. But the last 2 seasons, we've gone to Coleman, to Muscle Shoals, to Hartselle. Those are 3 really tough places to play. And for us having to do that back-to-back years is very unfortunate. So this year we're glad to get those folks at home. We also get Russellville at home. So we've had pretty good road stretches. So getting them at home, I think, will be important. I think we've won 14 games in a row at home. Feel really good about playing at our place. But, you know, Muscle Shoals and Hartselle are the ones that are at the top of the region every year. And I don't like it a bit, but it's a fact. So we've got to do something about it. Can't talk about it.
Coach, what makes football Friday night inside your home football stadium so special?
I think there's a lot of tradition at Athens. I think that we got a lot of folks that played there, that have stayed there, that care about it, that invest in our program, not just monetarily, but just their physical support, their encouragement. I think that's a big deal. I think our band is great. Ty Parker does a great job with their band. Cheerleaders are awesome. You know, we was talking to the band last night there at camp. They came by, one of the kids was talking to me and told me how he's going to get the fans out of their seats. And I said, well, we need to do that. That's one thing that we probably need to do a little better job of, is getting the fans out of their seats and getting them going. But it's a special place. It's a great stadium, and again, a lot of tradition.
Coach Gross, we know everybody gets bigger, faster, and stronger during the summer. What are some of the other things that you feel that your student athletes have done well this year to get ready for 2025?
Well, I hope we're tougher. I mean, that's yet to be seen. But I hope we're tougher. I hope we're a little more determined. You know, we're talking to these guys again. I mentioned it a couple of times. Tired of finishing 3rd in the region and having to go on the road in the first round. And we talked to them about being grown men, and some of them having to be grown men at the age of 15. It's not really fair. But grown men win football games in November. And winning football games in November is a whole lot different than winning them in August and September. And they feel a lot different. So just hopefully we're tougher. Hopefully we're going to be a little bit more hardened and able to pull through in those tough situations.
Guys, I've got another one real quick. What advice might you give a younger player who sees action for the first time for the Golden Eagles?
You got some good questions.
I'll start. Trust the process. I started at center my first year and second year. Then I went to right guard, and now I'm at right tackle. And I'm having the most fun playing football that I've had so far. So if you just trust the process, you'll have fun, get better, and hopefully win games.
I think you hit the nail in the coffin.
Coach, what advice would you give a younger man that you ever see action?
Make us play you. I was just telling Coach Snyder from Ardmore, used to be my defensive coordinator, about Jordan Malone, the guy that played for us when I first got to Athens, and told the story about me running him off the offensive field to the defensive field during practice because he was on the scout team and we couldn't block him. He was wearing us out and just kept talking trash and making everybody mad and getting all the players yelled at. And I yelled for Coach Snyder. I said, I'm sending Moses to you, put him in. And he played that week. We never got him out. But a lot of young guys are afraid, you know, well, I'm not getting to play, and just go make us play you. That would be the deal. And then get in there and just have fun. I mean, we forget about this. When we talk about football being hard, it is hard, but there's a lot of easy stuff to the game too. But I think the bottom line is you need to have fun. And the way I define having fun in any sport is you get after somebody's butt. If you're not doing that, they're getting after yours, and that ain't no fun.
Coach, we spent some time with you here a few weeks ago on our podcast, and your field house facilities are second to none. I'd like to get the players' perspective. Coach, explain to us how everybody had to earn their way into that locker room. I'm pretty sure you guys said on the stage they probably earned your way. What did that mean to get back in that locker room?
I
think it was a really cool thing that we did. I felt like we all truly earned our way back in, and fighting for it made it a lot more worth it and made us feel a little bit more grateful to have it.
I think it shows, like, in football, and everything's not going to be given to you. Like, you got to go and take some things, and you had to go earn your way into that locker room, so that meant a lot to us.
One question here for the players. Some of y'all have been playing, some of you now are taking over a leadership role in the team. Think back over your days, it could be back into the Pee Wee, junior high. Who is a player that's played there before Athens, that's been a leader to you?
I would say AJ Beniscus, my freshman year. He helped me with, like, honestly, just confidence. He helped me with my confidence a lot, and he helped me with, like, my skills and everything. And I would say he was definitely somebody I looked up to.
I would say Brogan Gross, our quarterback who graduated last year. He, as a freshman all the way up to last year, my junior year, he was a guy that I strived to be like. He was a good role model to have.
I would say Brogan Gross too. Very good guy outside of football. He's like a brother, man, and great. He's a great guy. He's very Christianity, and when I need anything, and he always been there for me.
I'll say Spencer Dolan. Taught me a lot about the game. Taught me how to be tough, and he was also one of my best friends as well.
Fantastic season in 2024. Good things, 8 wins. Clearly, you had to feel good about that. How did that momentum carry into the offseason, and how do you roll it into 2025?
Well, I think it's, one of those years where you can build on that success. We've got a good number of kids coming back. We have 9 starters on offense coming back, 4 on defense. So, I mean, we've got some kids that now have tasted that winning aspect of things that may not have been common around the Ardmore area, and I feel like that gave our kids a sense of motivation to, hey, don't leave that legacy with last year's group, create your own this year, and I think it's added that extra motivation to maybe, hey, what's the next step? What do we need to do to try to get to that next step? However you want to answer that question, I think that's sort of been the mindset of our kids through the off season, spring, and now through the summer of how can we be better than what we were last year.
This time last year, I remember you telling me that you had special groups of kids with the junior class last year, which is now seniors, and the seniors that have now gone. So how do you feel about this class for 2025? That's from a leadership standpoint.
They have been really, really good leaders for us. And the thing with this group is that large majority of them have been around our program for a long time. So they understand the expectation. They understand what it means, like the standard at practice or in the weight room or just in the school building itself. And so having that experience sort of begins to soothe that leadership aspect of things. And these guys take it, especially these 2 sitting with me today, they sort of take ownership in that, hey, they've been around good years and bad years. And, how do we continue to build off of the good ones? And they've taken it and taken some guys with them. And now we're beginning to grow and build a sustainable culture at Ardmore.
I remember last year a big talk was the fact that, like, basically every school in the county was finally getting the chance to, like, really have, like, those county rivalries, either be reborn or, be reissued among it or whatever.
Right.
How do you feel that really kind of helped your program and really football in the county in general?
Well, I think it helps, because they all know each other. We have a career tech center here in Limestone County where a lot of the kids from all the schools across the county may go to school together over there. But I think that's something special in high school football, that because of how region play has taken over, you lose some of that. And if you're able to do it and sort of rekindle maybe some of the rivalries or, continue some, then I think that really helps in how your season, things you look forward to as a group. And I mean, there is some bragging rights that go along with it, and I think that's very important.
Awesome. I've got 2 more for you. Let's talk about your opener. You'll be taking on Tanner against Coach Mills,
Yeah.
who's right across
Yeah.
the room.
Yeah.
I know they kind of had like a step back here, but they
Yeah.
had a lot of young guys.
They did.
How do you feel about what they can probably bring to the table this year when you face them?
Yeah, well, I know that Coach Smith, what type of job he does and his staff, I know a lot of those guys that coach with him, and I know what they're about. And so I know that after having now a year under their belt of establishing what they need to establish culture-wise, scheme-wise, whatever it is, I know that they're going to be a lot better than what they felt like they were last year. And so we're going to have to prepare not for last year's Tanner team, but for a new Tanner team, because we know that they're going to be different, more experienced. I think he's got a few more kids out. So, we've got to take care of our business, and not worry about, well, they were this last year. No, it's 2025. Everybody's different. So that's how we got to approach it.
Indeed. And just on a final note, kind of just give me, your insight on what you think what this region's going to look like from a competition standpoint.
Well, I think this region is one of the most competitive in the state, top to bottom. You do have a couple of schools that maybe have in the past have been maybe your top two with Fairview and Russellville, but I do think that the rest of us in the region have become more and more competitive as the years gone on, and now top to bottom, like, you better come ready to play each and every week, or you're going to slip up and not reach your goals. So I feel like our region is as competitive as any of the ones across the state, top to bottom. There's nobody that stands out that's just going to be better, and everybody else is fighting for the next position. I think we all seven of us can truly battle for those top positions in the region.
Will, man, your team's coming off an 8-win season. How did it feel to have so much success in 2024?
It felt great. Coming off a 1-9 season, turning around, going 8-3. Probably one of the top 5 feelings I've had.
Awesome. So now, as a senior who has been through basically the worst of times and some of the better times or whatever, how do you feel that you guys can translate that over into the upcoming year?
Well, we've had a lot of downfalls and we've had a lot of success. So if you take the two and put them together, I believe you can learn from your mistakes and push on forward.
So we know, Ardmore is a community that loves, their Tigers and the football team. How do you feel that the community reacted to, such a great season last year?
Well, if you look at the crowds, it was as packed as an NFL game. So, I imagine it probably got some people more pulled into how football was.
Yep. And I'll just leave you on this. Kind of just give me, your thoughts on how well can this team do in 2025, especially with such a tough region.
We'll do good. We'll do great. We're expected to win a lot of games, and I believe that we can.
How does it feel to basically go from a 1-win season to an 8-win season and really turn things around as you roll into 2025?
Feels pretty good. It's a lot more fun winning than losing.
I understand, Coach Schneider said, he loves the group of guys that have become leaders, especially since y'all been on both sides of the thing. How do you carry momentum now over from having 8 wins last year into 2025?
Just really got to put our heads down and keep going forward and do what we're coached to do. Not really look at what happened last year, because it's a new year this year. Many things have changed.
Indeed. Will talked about the community support, talking about, fans packing out the stands. Was that a really, really good feeling to have, the support, especially since I know they'll support you guys, but when it's winning, it just kind of helps the ordeal?
Yeah, that's a real big factor. They talk about the 12th man in college. I think that helps a lot. Having the fan base is just motivating.
How well do you think your team can do in 2025 with the momentum, especially with the very, very tough region that you'll have to, go up against week after week?
I think we'll do pretty good. We can be as good as we want to be as a team. It's really just up to us. Nobody else can decide what we do.
2024, not the best season overall, but what did you learn from your team from last year as you rolled into the offseason?
Just that we need to finish football games. So we lost a bunch of games in the fourth quarter last year. Weren't very good in the weight room last year. Weren't very good, at being conditioned and in shape last year. So we've really been working on that, man, to be honest with you, since December. Busting it in the weight room, holding ourselves to, what I like to call the standard. And, these two guys have done a really good job at that. Everybody's bought into that. And if they didn't buy in, they're not with us no more. So, sometimes, unfortunately, that's how it has to go.
Totally understand. Let's talk about the off season, the summer workouts. It seems like everybody's saying they're getting after it. So how are your guys getting after it?
Man, this is the most impressed I've been in my coaching career, with the team buying in and really busting it, as far as a whole group. So I've really been impressed. They all show up. If they don't show up, somebody's on their butt going to get them, picking them up, taking them home, to where I don't even have to do that most of the time because they're taking the responsibility of doing it themselves, which is awesome. I've never had that before. So,
how do you like that leadership from your players by seeing that?
And we didn't have that last year. No offense to my last year's team or anything, but these seniors that I have, we got 11, and they they've taken the responsibility of holding everybody to the same standard. And it's almost like I don't even have to be there sometimes because I know that, especially these two and some others, they're going to do it themselves. It's like having me out there without me having to be there.
Awesome. You'll begin the season with those guys right there, Athens Limestone. Talk about the importance of really keeping these county rivals going, especially since nowadays everybody's trying to do this and do that or whatever, get a little flashy. But we know the root of football is building rivalry.
Yeah, and Coach Davis actually helped us out last year because somebody dropped a game on us, and we kind of didn't know what we were going to do, couldn't really find a game, and he actually made it work out for us to where we could play each other again one and then help us have another game. So really appreciative to him on that. But man, you need to play each other in the county. I wish we all played each other. I think that's the way it should be. I know some schools are bigger than other schools, but it's still the county, man. And I would love for everybody to play each other and just keep the rivalries going.
Good. I'll leave you out on this. How do you feel Clements fits into your very competitive region? Because everybody got a competitive region.
Last year was tough for us because I feel like they didn't think that maybe they belonged. They thought that the other teams were better than us, and we've really been working on that. And I've said it today 100 times probably. We're not the same Clements as everybody thinks that we used to be. We're different. I want a tough brand of football. I want to put fear in our opponents because I'm telling you, man, we're not the same.
2024 was not the greatest season in Clements football history. How do you guys build off of what the heck happened last year and change things this year?
Take it on the field, take what we did wrong, practice more. We needed the weight room more this year, so we got in the weight room this year, started from December, worked our way through where we are now. Weight room's done good, so field practices have done good, I feel like, so.
Coach said that he's been proud of the way that the team has come together in the weight room, doing off-season training. What's the motivating factor for that? Because, some guys could be like, man, I could probably just show up and do whatever, but clearly you guys aren't doing that. You're putting the work in.
Yes, sir. You just got to keep your guys up. People that don't want to be here and they show up and they look like they're in a bad mood, you just got to pick them up. Just pick them up and they'll do good.
Cool. Look, I'll leave you out on this. It's a very tough and competitive region. Heck, you got a state champion in your region, but how do you feel Clements fits into it? And, can you guys make some noise this year?
Yes, sir. We're going to make some noise this year. We're going to make a lot of noise this year. We ain't going to let nothing go down. We're going to finish all the way till that final clock runs out. So.
All right, Brady, 2024, not the best season in the world for the Clements Colts. How did you feel about that season? And then what do you guys want to do to turn things around in 2025?
Obviously, I'm not happy with the way the season went, but I said this earlier, and I'm glad it happened. Failure leads to success, and it was really something I feel like we needed. It showed all the players that we needed to put more work in and that what we did that year wasn't enough. And I think that we've definitely done a better job of that this summer of doing enough.
Cool. Coach said he's been very proud of the leaders on this team for, not just the workouts, but also holding folks accountable, guys going pick guys up or whatever. So how do you feel seeing your teammates, do things like that?
It's really just great to see that because, when you see that, it builds chemistry, it builds, team bonding, stuff like that. And, when you see your teammate doing that, it just helps overall morale of just your teammates around you. It's easier to be around them and play with them.
Yep. I'll leave you out on this, man. How do you feel that Clements fits into this very, very tough region? It's tough, but it's competitive as well.
I feel like we fit pretty good into it, just playing with a competitive mindset and a humble mindset as well. Just got to play football and strike fear in your opponent.
Perfect, man. What were some things that were learned, and how do you guys use that as a motivating factor coming into 2025?
I think a lot of it has to do with our preparation. Like the kids kind of understand now how to prepare, how to go out and win a little bit. We've been competing all summer, done a ton of OTAs against other people. Just trying to set that standard for them. I think they understand that. And then for me, it's understanding how to better communicate and operate with the kids. Especially game day stuff. I think we're going to be a lot better there. And then just like I told them earlier, it's about the group of kids. If we're having any issues, I got to see that and knock it out quick. Last year I didn't know the group that well, and so now I can kind of see, like, hey, are we having a little bit of an in fight? Is there a little bit of a bumping heads happening? I can fix that now a little bit better than last year, and so I'm excited to go out and watch them compete again. I think they've worked their tail off. We've been going. Basically 2 weeks. We gave you 2 weeks off after the season, and we've been grinding it out ever since, man. Weight room has been hit extremely hard. I think we jumped as a whole like 1,300 pounds of weight on maxes, and like a group of like 8 or 10 guys really jumped in their weight, and so we've done a really good job in there. And then we've been grinding it out all summer. I wanted them to learn what work looked like this summer. A lot of people will go 3 days a week in June and 4 in July, but we've been 4 days a week all the way throughout, and just hammering it in. We had a new offense to put in, so I felt like we needed it, and I just wanted them to understand what work looks like, and so I think they know that, and I think it's going to pay off in the end. I really do. I was telling them, like, I just want to see toughness out of this group. I think we've got it. I think we've got the grit, but now we just can go out and put it on the field. No matter what, there's going to be times where we're outmanned, and we've got to go out, and the only way you overcome that is by being tough as you can possibly be, and I got to see that firsthand coaching at Hartselle. We go out and we play guys that were more talented than us. We find a way to win. So that's who we have to be, and that's who East Limestone's always been. East Limestone's always been tough-nosed, hard-nosed kids that they go out and just kind of grind you down. And so that's who I want us to be again. Be a little bit explosive and when we can on the offense, but man, get out there and run it down your throat and try to make you tap out. That's what we want to be.
Awesome. Of course, Coach, I know you got this job at the
a year ago, 2 days, I think. 2 days ago was a year.
So look, now that you have your footing, and you kind of have, that foundation, how much better do you think the connection can be between you, your staff, and these players?
Man, I think it is, I can't even put a percentage on it. It's just out of this world better than what it was last year. You try to go in, you build relationships as best you can, but when you got 5 weeks so you're playing a game, we don't really have time to do all that. But I think this group, we've done a really good job of getting together, them knowing who I am, me knowing who they are, how to meet their needs as best as possible. And then the coaching staff, like you said, I was able to hire a couple guys this year finally. I didn't get to bring anybody in last year. Got a phenomenal O-line coach in, and then I got a great fullback / OC guy that I really believe in, young guy, but he's got a ton of energy. I feel like we've added what we needed to add, and our guys that were on staff last year now know what I expect too, and our relationship is strong enough to where if we're not living up to that as a coaching staff, I can tell them, and they can tell me, hey, you're BSing too. And so I really enjoy the staff. I enjoy our kids, the relationships, man. That's what it's all about. Like I told them earlier, this season, their record, nobody's going to remember it in 10 years. They're going to remember the bond that they have with their coaches and their teammates. Do we want to go out and win every freaking game? Yes, we're competitive as crap. I don't ever want to lose, man. But I just want them to understand that it's all about what they do to build a relationship with us and within themselves. Because in 10 years, they're going to be talking about that more than they are, hey, do you remember when we beat so-and-so? Like that, at the end of the year, at the end of their life, that's not what's going to matter. It's the bonds they build.
Good deal. Look, you begin 2025 with a game against Westminster Christian. Coach Louis LeBlanc and company have been successful over the years. Clearly, it's going to be a tough matchup, even though, they're a smaller school than y'all. Tell me what the mindset will be when you face WCA on that first night.
Man, the first thing is, like you said about Coach LeBlanc, he's phenomenal, great guy. They're extremely well coached. They're going to have talent. They bring a lot back, especially on the offensive line. And they've got some skill guys back too. And so going to be interesting to see. I know they had a couple of coaching changes there, and so going to be interesting to see what they look like. Trying to get all the information we can on them like everybody is right now. But, man, I'm just excited to go out and play, man. I think we're going to know what they're going to do and kind of who they want to be. And so it's just us going out and executing the game plan, right? It's us getting together as coaching staff and getting that game plan together and then getting it to them the best way that they can to get out and execute. I just want to see us get after freaking tail, man. That's it. That's what it's all about, right? Just go out and play our tail off, man. And, I think it's going to be a really good competitive game. It's at our place this year. I'm excited about that. Get the home opener and kind of see our community come in and during game one. I didn't get to see that last year because we're on the road. It's a little bit different to start the season out. But, last year it's a real tight game until, late in the third quarter they kind of pull away from us. And so that's the biggest deal this year. We've got to be able to finish, and I think this year we will. I really do.
Let's talk about this region. Clearly, it's competition from top to bottom. What do you feel that East Limestone fits into this competitive region?
Man, I think you got Fairview and Ardmore and Russellville. They're all extremely good at the top. Then I think, honestly, it's really competitive with all of us. If we're right, man, I think West Point, us, Priceville, I think we're all kind of similar. In a way, even with the Fairviews and the Ardmores and all that. They're the proven guys, right? They're the ones that made the playoffs last year, so now we're chasing that. And so we've just got to go in and compete the best that we can. The games we lost last year, West Point 21-7, we have the lead in that game. Ardmore, we have the lead going into the fourth quarter in that game and lose it. Priceville, we have the lead in that game and lose it right before halftime. And so we're right there in all those games last year. So like I said just a minute ago, let's freaking finish, right? Let's find a way to go finish. Let's find a way to stop them. And so you're talking about 3 or 4 games right there that we probably would have been in the playoffs if we take care of business. And so, just find a way to finish them. We competed really well against them last year, so let's just go do it again. And now let's be able to bring this year of work and knowing what it takes to go out there and win and just not make those mistakes. That's the biggest deal. We had a lot of turnovers last year that killed us, and so hopefully this year we take care of the ball a little bit better. And I think we'll be right there in the thick of it with everybody. But like you said, every single team in our region, Lawrence County, they're all able to go in and get in the playoffs. We're all right there together, and so I'm excited to go out and compete against them every week.
I'll wrap you up on this. Talk about some of besides the players you brought today, talk about some of the key players we should be on the lookout for.
Yeah, man. There's a bunch of them out there to name. I'll start with Alan Brinkley on the D-line. That kid is phenomenal. He is a short, strong ball. That dude's got the best hands I've ever seen. He's one of our strongest kids in the weight room. Works his tail off. I'm excited to see him play on the D-line this year. Brantley Stinson at linebacker for us. Going to be a senior. He's a kid that could have easily been sitting right here if he wasn't out of town. He's a guy that is a great leader of the team, and I'm excited to see him have a big year. We need him to have a big year for us to be successful. And then you got, obviously, our quarterback, Cade Parham, has got to step up and be good. It's going to be his first year to ever start, and so he's got to make good decisions and take care of the football. We got a stable of running backs, man. Javian Martin, Caden Hobbs, Keon Miller. Goodness, who else am I missing there at the running back room? We got a few more. Jarkel Nettles is a guy who plays safety and a little bit of running back for us. He's going to be a senior. He is a phenomenal athlete back there. Drayshawn Jackson, another senior that we're going to have that's going to play some receiver DB. I think he's going to have a big year. And then we got some young guys, too, at receiver on offense that's got to step up. We got to have Cam Dixon and Braxton Robinson both. They've got to come out and really be good for us. They're going to be 10th graders coming out, and so they've got to, kind of get their feet thrown to the fire and make plays for us. And then again, nothing happens without the full offensive line. We've got to be really solid there. I think we're working hard. I think it's our most improved group so far. But they've just got to continue to get to work and get better every week, because without them, nothing can really happen. And so, they're fighting like hell to be able to get that done. And, man, I'm excited for them. I really am. And then again, that D-line too, same thing. Anything with the trenches. We got like 6 deep that rotate in at D-line. And so I think it's going to be a really fun year this year. I really do.
I am a senior going into it's going to be my 4th year. I play right tackle on O-line. And that's really where I stop, man. I feel like I'm pretty good for that position. Coach put me there for a reason. I feel like I lead that position to the best of my ability. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, man, I know last year was not the best season and whatnot, but what did you guys learn from last year to kind of help propel you going into this year?
I mean, we really learned our identity. We learned who we were, how to bounce back from that, because at what point, loss after loss, what point does it really break you? And that's really where we found out who we were. We kind of we had so many pieces of each other, and we didn't know what to do. The coaching staff really brought us all together, and we really took it from there. We skyrocketed. We really got better, I feel like. But yeah, it was just that breaking point. Like, how much more can we take? How do we, bounce back from it? And I feel like that's the best. We bounced back better than I could have, ever explained it. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how we're gonna look first game.
Coach talked about it like, man, clearly you look at your record, but there's a lot of games. If the ball goes the other way, you're a playoff team. I know deep down inside it probably had to make you and your teammates, kind of angry about the fact that you didn't finish. How can you translate that to this year?
Yeah, we've gotten so much better at that, man. It's really just like they've all been talking about buying in. Like every play, every snap, it's got to be better than the last one. Learning how, I feel like most of our ball games last year, they were, second half ball games. We didn't come off the strongest, we didn't come off the loudest, most aggressive, but that second half we either turned it around or, we kind of gave up. And I feel like we really need to fix that this year. We need to come out strong, stay strong, not let up, and just, be a full quarter, football team, because I feel like that's what we weren't really with that, last year.
Two more for you. Coach talked about, the chemistry has been very, very solid during the off season. Clearly, how do you feel those off season workouts and off season drills have kind of been, what have you guys been doing to make yourselves better?
A lot of one-on-one stuff. O-line, like you said, most improved. We ran out almost every single day, just after school, after our lift, which not to mention I feel like this off season was the toughest on my body personally. It was something else, man. And this summer, it's been the hardest I've ever experienced. But hey, man, iron sharpens iron. If you're not getting better, if you don't feel yourself getting better, then what's the point? And we went out every single day, pass pro drills, run drills, fit drills, just everything you can think of was that's what the agenda was. We had coaches stay after, coaches talk to a player evaluations, all that stuff. How can we make you a better athlete? And it really just, this offseason was the greatest offseason I've ever been a part of, and I'm really glad I could say that.
Awesome. On the final note, man, just talk about, where does East Limestone fit into this very, very competitive region?
Yeah, so he said it really good. The East Limestone 5 years ago is not the East Limestone it was today. However, everything that we can do to get to that point, we will try. I feel like we were really just a powerhouse back then, and to be able to rebuild that and to say that I was a part of that rebuilding process, it's an honor. I hope this program gets to where it was. There's definitely larger steps to take, but hey, I'm really excited to say that I was a part of this and to say that I am an East Limestone Indian. I can't see myself anywhere else. It's an honor to be here.
All right, Caleb, 2024 was a learning experience basically. How do you and your teammates, kind of take from what you learned from those games and not make those mistakes in 2025?
There was a lot of evaluating that needed to be done after the season, just what went wrong, what did we do here that we need to do differently. There was a lot of a quitting aspect on the team last year. It got tough, when the game got tough, it really reflected on how we played and our attitude and our body language. And I think we've taken a lot of time this offseason to grind and figure out who we are and, become a new team, have a new identity in the second half. It's really where we need to show up.
Awesome. Let's talk about the offseason, man. Coach said y'all been getting after it. You have been getting after it, but that's not a bad thing. So how do you feel like the offseason workouts and the camaraderie that's being built, how that's going to make you a better team in 2025?
It's a lot of, like I said, with the, just being there for all 4 quarters of the game. They're long. The workouts have been long. They've been hard. A lot of days in and out. But, if you're willing to show up and work, I personally will believe that you're willing to come to the game and play all 4 quarters, It's a lot of just building your identity. Who are you going to be when it gets tough, If you're willing to show up to all the summer workouts, put in that work, that's somebody I'm going to believe in, somebody I'm willing to play alongside.
Good. Of course, we know Coach got here very, very, very last minute, and went through the season. How does it now feel to kind of have some stuff established that he wants to let you guys be successful with?
It's definitely a big confidence thing, it's like you're standing on shaky ground when it comes in a couple weeks before you start. You know, you don't know what to expect. But, you know, we built our foundation. We're figuring out who we are, and I think we're coming to play this year.
Awesome. On a final note, man, where does East Limestone fit into this region that's got some good competition, but at the same time, look at last year. You guys were in the thick of things for majority of those games.
Yes, sir. I think a lot of it's up in the air. You know, a lot of respect for everybody in our region. You know, they play hard, but we're one of those teams. We're going to play hard too, and there's a lot that we're going to find out in those games. You know, there's not a lot I can say to predict what's going to happen, how we're going to play, but I think we're definitely going to find out very soon.
You know, I'll leave you on this. Also, I asked Coach about this. Thoughts on playing Westminster Christian to open up the season, especially after you guys played them last year?
I think it's a great way to figure out who we are. You know, that's a good team. A lot of returning guys. You know, they got a big front. I think that's going to be a good test for us. Something we need to figure out is if we're really going to get down in the trenches, put our hand down in the dirt, and figure out what we're made of.
Talk about what did you learn from 2024 and how you guys improving to come into 2025.
Well, I learned a lot about who we are, right? And I think the kids did too. They learned who I am. So I think us being together a year is a big deal. Consistency, expectations, accountability, all those things. So it was really good for us to have that, you know, and help us grow and propel to the future.
Yep. Talk about your off-season training. It seems like everybody else has been talking about they've been getting after it. How have your guys been getting after it?
Yeah, I feel really good about where we're at, especially this summer. I've kind of taken back over the weight program, and so, you know, more hands-on. Used to be I was in there a cheerleader. Now I'm in there kind of getting after it a little bit more, and it's been good for me. And, you know, the kids, I think it's been a little adjustment period. But we're going to have some testing next week, find out how much stronger we got.
I understand, Coach. I understand. Talk about your region. You know, clearly everybody's playing in a tough region. So what do you feel that Elkmont kind of fits into the region that they're in?
Man, we think we have a legitimate shot at the playoffs this year. We're going to have to play well, obviously, but we let 2 games slip away, 2 region games last year slip away that we feel like we should have won. So if we win those 2, now we're a game out. So we feel confident we can correct that this year and give ourselves a chance to get in. But, you know, obviously the top of our region is really tough. Mars Hill won 3A. You know, Lauderdale County is really good year in and year out. Colbert County is really good year in and year out. Rogers is really good year in and year out. So, you know, we're going to have to play well, but we think we can get in.
Awesome. You begin 2025 on the road against JP2. Of course, they've had, you know, their shares of ups and downs and whatnot. You know, how do you feel about facing the Falcons in week 0 technically?
Yeah, well, we're excited. We get to play on Thursday night, so that'll be an opening. You know, I think there'll be some people there that normally wouldn't come because it's the first game of the year in Huntsville. So that's going to be cool. We get to play at a great facility, and we get to play a great program like them. So we're excited about that and just counting down the days.
And then, you know, I'm looking at your schedule too, clearly. I know a big talk continues to be like the amount of Limestone County schools playing each other, you know, so how do you feel about keeping those county rivalries intact the way that they are?
Well, Clements is in our region, you know, and Matt and I have talked at Tanner. I think we're going to play in the future. Okay. We're playing West Limestone in a jamboree. So, yeah, it's number one, it's good for travel. It's good for gate. It's good for a lot of things. So I think as long as you're competitive, I think it's a good deal.
Okay. And Coach, just on the final note, just tell me about some of the players that, you know, that we should be on the lookout for this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So I brought these 2 guys with me today, Owen Burgess and Justin Akins, both seniors, both going to be wide receiver DB type for us. Right. We got 2 senior linemen coming back, Cade Hawkins and Jeremiah May. Looking forward to those guys really leading us in the trenches. So excited about those 4 seniors for sure.
All right, Justin, 2024, I know it wasn't the best season for the Red Devils, but seems like you guys on the up and up going in 2025. What are some of the things you feel that are going to change from last year to this year?
Definitely work ethic, just like that. I mean, all of us is getting a lot better, getting 1% better every single day, getting better attitudes, better work, you know, stuff like that.
Coach said that he's very proud of the weight program and guys like really kind of getting after it. You know, you being a leader, you know, what are you guys kind of doing differently off season to kind of make yourselves better?
Definitely pushing each other in the weight room, make sure we get our weight right, make sure we have a sense of urgency in the weight room, make sure we're getting explosive, getting that power going, just like that. Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's talk about the the region that you guys are in. I mean, clearly, it's very tough, very competitive, but at the same time, Coach said there were several games that if the ball goes the other way, it's a different story for you guys. Are there a lot of lessons that were learned from last year's close games?
Yes, sir, a lot of lessons, but I think more importantly, we're just focused on getting better each and every day. Yes, sir.
Last question I'll ask for you, what would it mean to have a successful season going out in your senior year?
It definitely mean a lot to me, but it also mean a lot to the community because, I mean, it's been a while for Elkmont since they've reached the playoffs, and that's what we need to happen for the community to, get an uprise going and get some more people out.
Tell me about 2024 and how you guys trying to change things going into 2025.
It didn't go too well. We lost some games that we should have won in 2025, hoping we beat the teams that we lost to that we should have won.
Gotcha. Talk about the offseason, man. The workouts, the offseason training. How are those things going for you and your teammates?
They're all going good. We're all staying consistent. I was consistent with it since RGC. Doing good at all.
Cool. Coach said he's been impressed with the weight room and then the OTAs you guys have been going or whatever. How much better do you think that's going to make the team overall?
Well, I think it's gonna make us better because weight room, we're going to be able to push other people around. And OTAs, getting our skill better for the times we throw the ball.
Let's talk about that region, man. I mean, pretty tough region, but, as your teammates said, that, there's an opportunity for you guys, to make some noise, maybe shock some people or whatever. How big would it be not just for you and your teammates, but for the community, for the team to have a successful year?
It'd be amazing because we ain't really went to playoffs in 11 years. And 2 years ago, that's the best season we had in 10 years. So making the playoffs would be exciting for the community and everybody.
Gotcha. Last question I'll ask you, how excited are you to get the season started against JP2 inside of, Wicks Family Field at the Joe, big stadium under the lights, week 0? I know it's got to be, pretty exciting for you and your teammates.
I'm ready to get after it.
What did you learn from the 2024 season as you rolled into the offseason and get ready for this year?
It was a lot of trial and error. First year as a head coach, being back home made it easier for me. I felt like the community, wanted me there. I felt like the players want me there. I want to be there. My wife and son wants to be here. So that was a plus. Wins and loss record, wasn't what we wanted it to be, but you can go on day after day after day of excuses that we had. We were plagued by the bug injury, had several broke ankles, broke kneecap, broke forearms to key guys. And as a small school, 2A school, if you lose one player, then you're actually losing 3 or 4 players in that one person because like Malachi here, he broke his foot last year. Well, we lost an offensive lineman, we lost a defensive lineman, we lost a lineman on extra point field goal. So we lost 3 players with that one person being out. And like I said, it affected us. We had to play a bunch of younger guys and get them ready for a time that they weren't necessarily supposed to be in there, but they got a year under their belt, and we've got everybody coming back this year. We lost 1 senior from last year. This year we're going into the season with 6 seniors. So we're a little bit older, a little bit more experienced, but we're still relatively young. Quarterback's going to be a 10th grader, running back's going to be a 10th grader. We got a couple, freshmen that's sprinkled in and out here and there. But our older guys are doing it the right way. They're leading. They're there every day. They're working out hard. They're conditioning, practicing 100%. We got Matt Fletcher back. He'll be one of our top receivers and safeties. We added a couple of new guys in from the halls of Tanner. They've been there this whole time, but they finally decided to come out. And we got a couple of guys that are gearing up to have a huge impact for us that are, surprises for us that are definitely going to be key players this season.
Okay, cool. Of course, I was able to come out to your spring game. There were some highs, there were some lows. What did you feel like you learned? What did you learn the most about your team, seeing them compete against a higher classification team? Even though it wasn't, the result didn't probably just go your way.
Yeah, it was. It was big for us to get that spring game in, and we did varsity first half, we did JV the second half. Varsity, they did a lot better. We could tell that we were stronger, we were faster, we're getting bigger. We could tell that, the play calling and everything, they're relating to it, they're seeing it, they're picking it up more. Last year putting in a new offense and a new defense, it was new for everybody on the team. They had never played it, had never ran those plays. So, spring game felt a little bit more polished. We're calling things and the kids were picking up on it, and they knew where to go, when to go, how to go, and that's big for us. Being accountable and knowing what's going on within the play itself, and knowing what you're supposed to do. And we've been saying it all year: do your job. So you do your job and don't worry about everybody else's job, then that makes everything go smooth.
Awesome. Take a look at this wonderful region you got, with the likes of Decatur Heritage and Lexington, Red Bay. Clearly, you're going to have to, bring your lunch bucket to work each and every week. But how do you feel about how your team can compete in such a tough region?
I feel like we'll go into region play a lot more confident this year. We're bigger, we're stronger. The weight room's done a tremendous job for us, and we're our football IQ as a team has gone up tremendously, and a lot of that's due to these seniors that we've got. The two that I got here, they call practice when we don't have practice. They're at the field, they're throwing, they're getting their teammates up there, they're getting more involved. They're going over stuff. They're not just going out there to play and mess around. They're going out there to actually go over stuff that we've done in practice to get better at it, and they're picking up on different body languages and styles of their teammates. So that chemistry that they're building outside of not only just practice but outside of practice is going to be big for us going into region play. Decatur Heritage is going to be, they were extremely good last year. Winston County's good. They made it to the third round last year. Lexington's going to be really good. I know we've had a couple of coaches changes in our region play. I think they got a new coach at Lexington, a new coach at Red Bay, new coach at Decatur Heritage. But those programs are, they're traditionally tough, hard-nosed programs. So we've got to come ready to work every Friday.
All right, AJ. Wasn't the best season in 2024, but Coach said y'all have kind of put that away and getting ready for 2025 with a somewhat large senior class. How do you feel about going into 2025 with the RAC?
I feel more confident, ready to play this region, and I feel that we can make a push in playoffs this year.
Clearly, Tanner's a school that always has to have a lot of young guys step up. I know you're a senior now, but how do you feel about some of your younger teammates and what they'll be able to bring to the table this year?
I'm very impressed with some of these younger guys, especially King. King stepped in with like a month ago, and he's probably going to be our starting safety or corner. He learned the defense and everything, and he's just ready to go.
Coach talked about, clearly it was tough last year because y'all had the injuries, but also you introduced a new offense, a new defense. Now that you're familiar with that, how much is that going to help the team, because you guys kind of know everything now?
We have a personal connection with the coaches now, especially we have a new speed coach, speed and agility coach, and we've been in the weight room all year, and we got a personal connection now with the offensive and defensive coordinator, and we're just ready to go.
Okay. And look, I'll leave you out on this. Coach kind of talked about the region stuff. I know a big thing last year that everybody was happy in this room that, you kind of started having all the Limestone County rivalries kind of return. So you'll face Ardmore in week 1. I mean, talk about how big of a situation that's going to be, especially for, you guys to play them, and a lot of y'all know each other for a minute.
Ardmore and Clements are they're in our schedule this year. They're both from our county. So, and Ardmore's got a pretty good program. They're building a new program, and it's going to be a tough game.
All right, man. I know 2024 was tough, but you know, how do you feel that kind of made your team better, stronger, and psychologically, you know, prepared for this upcoming year now?
We were a young team last year. We had a whole lot of injury problems and stuff like that. Not everybody knew what they were doing, but now that we have a whole lot of returning players, everybody know what they're doing now. Everybody been working hard, and I'm just excited to see what we're going to do.
Coach talked about, you know, you'll have a somewhat larger senior class led by, you know, guys like you and AJ. Talk about what the leadership roles that you're going to possess this year to kind of help your team win.
Making sure everybody show up, do what they're supposed to do, make sure everybody held accountable when they mess up, and that's it.
Coach said that, you know, besides the mandatory practices that he calls, the players are getting together and doing some things. Talk about how important it is to take initiatives amongst yourselves as players.
It's important because, you know, you get the work in at school and during practice, but you could always get more work in, like when nobody out there. So it's just important to just get better.
You know, last year, I know, wasn't a great year, so everybody wants to improve off of that. Coach was saying that, you know, you guys really, really want to, you know, do better than last year. So, you know, what's it going to take to improve from last year and even, you know, compete for playoffs and stuff?
Just doing our assignments, doing the job. That's it. Just doing what we got to do to win.
What did you and your team learn from last year that you're trying to improve on for this year?
Two things. We got to run the football, and we got to be closer as a team.
What has the offseason been looking like to kind of improve things in Wildcat country?
Well, we didn't get the ball out in June. It was just you know, lifting and conditioning and letting these guys do some competition stuff without a football. You know, just trying to grow the team and get those guys, you know, closer and loving on each other and that sort of thing. But I'm excited to see, you know, what we're going to be able to do.
Also during the off season, special time in which you were able to retire a jersey of one of your greatest players. How do you feel that really kind of helped put the community on the map, but also showing your players like, hey, he was in your footsteps at one point too?
Well, I reference him a lot, you know, as far as his journey, and I think he's got a special story, not just the fact that, you know, he's you know, from West Limestone, but, you know, what he's had to go through, what he's had to overcome, and when he's had the opportunities, he's made the most of them. I think that's what makes his story so special.
Awesome, awesome. All right, Coach, as we go into 2025, talk about some of the key players that you want to see either take a step up, or many people may be surprised with the hard work that they're going to put out there on the field this year.
I'd like to see them all step up, but you know, we're replacing 14 starters from last year, so you know, there's going to be a lot of new faces, a lot of new opportunities, and you know, I don't think there's any one person. I think it's going to be, you know, several people that people A, probably may not recognize, but B, may be surprised when they do as well as they do.
Awesome. You begin the season with that team right there, Clements. You know, talk about having the opportunity to face, you know, another Limestone County rider to kick things off, especially since, you know, a lot of these kids have known each other for a number of years, and, you know, it kind of just builds up the anticipation for Limestone County.
Well, it does. You know, these guys see each other in the community, and they see each other at tech school, and, you know, they want those bragging rights. But, you know, it's like I told Adam, I don't think there's anything more special and you know, two communities that are close together coming together for an event, and you know, I don't know that there's another event besides a football game that creates that kind of atmosphere and hype. So it does mean a lot. It means a lot to these guys, and fortunately we've had a lot of success over the years within the county.
Awesome. I'll leave you out on this, Coach. Where does West Limestone fit into this very competitive region?
Well, we right along with everybody else. You know, it's a tough, competitive region, and you know, I remind these guys all the time. You know, and I don't have to remind them; they know. It is very tough and it is very competitive, but that's why you do it. You know, if it was easy, everybody'd do it, but you know, we're in a region that's tough, and you know, year after year, we usually have 2 or 3 teams that go second, third round. So that just goes to show you how tough it really is. And, you know, yeah, we got to work hard and we got to do all the things right. But sometimes you have to have that ball bounce your way and it just hadn't bounced our way the last few years, and so hopefully the ball will bounce our way this year, and all our hard work and all those things will pay off.
And Jaden, how did you feel about 2024?
Didn't have the turnout we wanted, but we've changed a lot of things to not make that season repeat itself, and I think this season will be very different.
Gotcha. Coach is saying that you guys have been getting after during the summer. Talk about how the bonds are being built. How do you guys getting strong? What are some of the things that are happening during the off season that many may not know about?
Well, really, we're just trying to grow our bond, and we work so hard that people are forced to go past their breaking points, and it's up to us to push them there. And that's when we really grow closer together, because we have to do it or nobody else will. Nobody's gonna do it for us, So, we've put the work in. We've worked really hard.
You're one of the seniors on the team. Talk about your role as a leader, and what are some of the other seniors doing to kind of lift up this team this year?
Well, my role is, I feel like it's where we have a standard at West, and it's something that the underclassmen don't need to forget. One thing I hope that when my class graduates, he's obviously I'm really proud of him and how far he's came, and I think he's gonna keep that standard up there where it needs to be, And that's all. I'm just I don't know. I'm only 1 or 2 years older than most of the guys, but it makes me proud to see them hold themselves accountable, And everybody works really hard. There's not many, if not any, that comes to mind that really we have to stay on to do their job.
Clearly, we know that this region is very, very tough, and you have to bring a lunch pail each and every week. How do you feel about West Limestone when it comes to the competitiveness of such a tough region that has multiple teams, make deep playoff runs?
Well, one thing that is preached a lot at West is that it doesn't take talent. It just takes being tough, and there's a couple things like attitude and effort that you can always give your best. And despite whether team has more skill than you, it just comes down to who's going to give in first, And we don't really give up.
All right, Travis. 2024, not the best outcome for the Wildcats. What did you guys learn from last season as you roll into this year?
Learn from last season that you got to be a team. You got to have a good bond, and you got to be a team. You got to know each other, and create a bond. You just got to know. You got to be a team. You got to be able to put stuff on the line for each other.
Cool. Coach Shelby said you guys have been getting after during the off season, and I'm guessing 2024 serves as that motivation. What are some of the things that you've been doing to kind of build that camaraderie besides the obvious?
Just bond building, and we're holding each other accountable. Everybody gets held accountable, no matter who you are. Everybody does what they're supposed to do, and you stay locked in. You don't get out of focus.
Cool. As you get ready for this upcoming year, you'll face Clements, in the opener. How excited are you to face a team that's right down the road, and many of you guys have known each other for a number of years?
Can't wait. I'm ready. I can't wait. I'm ready to see how all this work's paid off.
And just on the final note, man, how do you feel West Limestone fits into such a competitive a region that that has teams year in and year out that are either right there or they're making deep runs?
Well, I feel like we work just as hard or harder than them, and we're not going to give up no matter what. No matter the outcome, we're not going to give up. We're going to keep going.